Deuteronomy 1:1. These are the words which Moses spoke to all Israel across the Jordan, in the wilderness, in the plain opposite the Red Sea, between Paran and Taphel, and Laban, and Hazeroth, and Dizahab. 2. There are 11 journeys from Horeb, on the way to Mount Seir, to Kadesh Barnea. 3. And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, that Moses spake unto the children of Israel, according to all that the Lord had commanded him concerning them. 4. After he had smitten Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and Og king of Bashan, who dwelt in Ashtaroth, in Edrei. 5. Beyond Jordan, in the land of Moab, Moses began to declare this law, saying, 6. The Lord our God spoke to us in Horeb, saying, You have tarried long enough in this mountain. 7. Turn and depart, and go to the mountain of the Amorites, and to all their neighbors, to the plain, into the mountain, into the valley, into the south, into the side of the sea, to the land of the Canaanites, and to Lebanon, to the great river, the river Euphrates. 8. Behold, I have set this land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that he would give it to them and to their descendants after them. 9. And at the same time I spoke to you, saying, I alone cannot carry you. 10. The Lord your God has already multiplied you, and, behold, ye are today as the stars of heaven in multitude. 11. The Lord God of your fathers increase you, even 1,000 times more than you are, and bless you, as he has spoken to you. 12. How could I alone bear your burdens, and your strife? 13. Become wise and understanding men, experienced among your tribes, that I may make them leaders over you. 14. Then you answered me, and said, It is good to do what you have spoken. 15. So I took the heads of your tribes, wise and experienced men, and made them heads over you, captains of thousands, and captains of hundreds, and captains of 50s, and captains of 10s, and governors of your tribes. 16. And at the same time I commanded your judges, saying, Hear the case between your brethren, and judge justly between a man and his brother, and between the stranger that is with him. 17. Thou shalt not discriminate against persons in judgment, you will hear the small as well as the great, you will not fear the face of anyone, for the judgment is from God, but the cause that is difficult for you, you bring to me, and I will hear it. 18. So at that time I commanded you all things that you should do. 19. Then we departed from Horeb, and walked through all that great and dreadful wilderness which you saw, by the way of the mountains of the Amorites, as the Lord our God commanded us, and we arrived at Kadesh Barnea. 20. Then I said to you, You have come to the mountains of the Amorites, which the Lord our God is giving us. 21. Behold, the Lord your God has set this land before you, go up, take possession of it, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has spoken to you, fear not, and be not dismayed. 22. Then all of you came to me, and said, Let us send men before us, that they may spy out the land for us, and teach us back the way we should go up, and the cities we should go to. 23. This seemed fine to me, so I took 12 men from you, 1 man from each tribe. 24. And they went up into the mountain, and came to the valley of Eshcol, and spied him out. 25. And they took of the fruit of the land in their hand, and brought it to us, and they told us, saying, Good is the land which the Lord our God gives us. 26. But you didn't want to go up, but you rebelled against the command of the Lord our God. 27. And ye murmured in your tents, and said, Because the Lord hateth us, he brought us out of the land of Egypt, to deliver us into the hand of the Amorites, to destroy us. 28. Where shall we go up? Our brethren made our hearts melt, saying, Greater and taller is this people than we are, the cities are great, and fortified to the heavens, and we also saw their children of the giants. 29. Then I said to you, Do not be dismayed or afraid of them. 30. The Lord your God, who goes before you, he will fight for you, according to all that he did for you in Egypt before your eyes. 31. As also in the wilderness, where you saw that the Lord your God carried you in it, as a man carries his child, in all the way that you went, until you came to this place. 32. But for that reason you did not believe in the Lord your God. 33. Who went before you all the way to find you the place where you should camp, by night in the fire to show you the way by which you should go, and by day in the cloud. 34. When the Lord heard the voice of your words, he was angry and swore, saying. 35. None of the men of this evil generation will see this good land that I swore to give your fathers. 36. Except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, he shall see it, and the land he trod on I will give to him and to his children, because he persevered in following the Lord. 37. The Lord was also angry with me because of you, saying, You also shall not go in there. 38. Joshua, son of Nun, who stands before you, he shall enter there, strengthen him, because he will make her an inheritance to Israel. 39. And your little ones, of whom you said, They shall be a prey, and your children, who today know neither good nor evil, they shall enter there, and I will give it to them, and they shall possess it. 40. But ye turned, and departed into the wilderness, by the way of the Red Sea. 41. Then you answered and said to me, We have sinned against the Lord, we will go up and fight, according to all that the Lord our God commanded us. And you armed yourselves, each of you, with your instruments of war, and were ready to go up the mountain. 42. And the Lord said unto me, Say unto them, Go not up, neither fight, for I am not among you, lest ye be smitten before your enemies. 43. But when I spoke to you, you did not listen, but ye rebelled against the commandment of the Lord, and were puffed up, and went up into the mountain. 44. And the Amorites, who dwelt in that mountain, came out to meet you, and they chased you like bees, and defeated you from Seir to Hormah. 45. So when you returned and wept before the Lord did not hear your voice, nor hearken to you. 46. So you stayed many days in Kadesh, for you stayed there a long time. Deuteronomy 2. 1. Then we turned and walked into the desert towards the Red Sea, as the Lord had told me, and we went around Mount Seir for many days. 2. Then the Lord spoke to me, saying, 3. You have surrounded this mountain quite a bit, turn north. 4. And he commanded the people, saying, You shall pass through the borders of your brethren, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and they will be afraid of you, but be on your guard. 5. Have nothing to do with them, for I will not give you any of their land, not even the sole of a foot to tread on, because I have given Mount Seir to Esau for an inheritance. 6. You shall buy food for yourselves to eat from them with money, and also water to drink of them shall ye buy with money. 7. For the Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He knows that you walk through this great desert. These 40 years the Lord your God was with you, you lacked nothing. 8. So, passing by our brothers, the children of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, from the way of the plain of Elath and Ezion-Geber, we turned and went through the way of the desert of Moab. 9. Then the Lord said to me, Do not harass the people of Moab, and do not contend with them in battle, for I will not give you an inheritance of their land, because I have given Ar to the sons of Lot for an inheritance. 10. The Emmons formerly dwelt in it, a people great and numerous, and tall as giants. 11. These two were considered giants like the Anakim, and the Moabites called them Enom. 12. Once upon a time the Horites also dwelt in Seir, but the sons of Esau drove them out, and destroyed them from before him, and dwelt in their place, as Israel did in the land of their inheritance, which the Lord had given them. 13. Arise now, and cross the brook Zered. So we crossed over the brook Zered. 14. In the days that we marched from Kadesh Barnea until we passed the brook Zered were 38 years, until all that generation of the men of war was consumed from the midst of the camp, as the Lord had sworn to them. 15. So also the hand of the Lord was against them, to destroy them from the midst of the camp until he had consumed them. 16. And it came to pass, when all the men of war were consumed by death from among the people. 17. The Lord spoke to me, saying, 18. Today thou shalt pass into Ar, through the borders of Moab. 19. And coming before the children of Ammon, do not trouble them, and do not quarrel with them, for I will not give you an inheritance from the land of the children of Ammon, because I have given it to the children of Lot for an inheritance. 20. This too was considered the land of giants. Giants dwelt therein before, and the Ammonites called them Zamzumans. 21. A people great, and numerous, and tall, like the giants, and the Lord destroyed them from before the Ammonites, and they cast them out, and dwelt in their place. 22. As he did with the sons of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, before whom he destroyed the Horites, and they drove them out, and they dwelt in their place to this day. 23. Also the Caphtorim, who came out of Caphtor, destroyed the Avians, who dwelt in Kazarim as far as Gaza, and dwelt in their place. 24. Arise, depart, and cross the Arnon brook. Behold, into your hand have I given Sihon the Amorite, king of Heshbon, and his land. He begins to possess it, and contends with them in warfare. 25. This day I will begin to put a terror and a fear of you before the peoples that are under the whole heaven. Those who hear your fame will tremble before you and be in anguish. 26. So I sent messengers from the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon king of Heshbon with words of peace, saying, 27. Let me pass through your land, only by the road will I go. I will not turn to the right or to the left. 28. Thou shalt sell me food that I may eat for money, and thou shalt give me water for money that I may drink, just let me pass on foot. 29. As the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir, and the Moabites who dwell in Ar, did to me, until I pass over Jordan into the land which the Lord our God is giving us. 30. But Sihon king of Heshbon would not let us pass through his land, because the Lord your God hardened his spirit and made his heart obstinate, to give you into your hand, as it is today. 31. And the Lord said unto me, Behold, I have begun to give thee Sihon, and his land, therefore begin to possess it, that you may inherit his land. 32. And Sihon went out to meet us, he and all his people, to battle in Jaza. 33. And the Lord our God delivered him to us, and we smote him, and his sons, and all his people. 34. And at that time we took all his cities, and destroyed each one with its men, women and children, we don't leave it to anyone. 35. We only took the cattle as prey for ourselves, and the spoil of the cities we had taken. 36. From Aroer, which is on the bank of the brook Arnon, and the city which is by the brook, as far as Gilead, no city has escaped us, all this the Lord our God has given us. 37. Only to the land of the children of Ammon have you not come, nor to all the bank of the brook Jabbok, nor to the cities of the mountain, nor to anything that the Lord our God forbade us. Deuteronomy 3. 1. Then we turned and went up the way to Bashan, and Og king of Bashan met us, he and all his people, to battle in Edrei. 2. Then the Lord said to me, Do not be afraid of him, for I have given him and all his people and his land into your hand, and you shall do to him as you did to Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon. 3. And the Lord our God has given Og king of Bashan and all his people into our hand, so that we smote him until there was no survivor left. 4. And at that time we took all his cities, there was no city that we did not take from them, 60 cities, the whole region of Argob, the kingdom of Og in Bashan. 5. All these cities were fortified with high walls, gates, and bars, and many other cities without walls. 6. And we destroyed them as we did Sihon king of Heshbon, destroying every city, men, women and children. 7. But all the cattle, and the spoil of the cities, we took for ourselves as prey. 8. So at that time we took the land out of the hand of those 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond Jordan, from the Arnon River to Mount Hermon. 9. Hermon the Sidonians call Sirion, but the Amorites call him Senir. 10. All the cities of the plateau, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Salcah and Edrei, cities of Og's kingdom in Bashan. 11. Because only Og, the king of Bashan, is left of the giants, behold, his bed, a bed of iron, is knotted in Rabbah of the children of Ammon. 9 cubits its length, and 4 cubits its breadth, by the common cubit. 12. So we took this land in possession at that time, from Aroer, which is by the brook Arnon, and half of the mountain of Gilead, with its cities, I gave to the Reubenites and Gadites. 13. And the rest of Gilead, and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh. All that region of Argob, throughout all of Bashan, was called the land of the giants. 14. Jair, son of Manasseh, reached all the region of Argob, as far as the border of the Jeshurites and Maccathites, and called his name Havot Jair to this day. 15. And to Machir I gave Gilead. 16. But to the Reubenites and Gadites I gave from Gilead to the Arnon brook, the middle of which serves as a boundary, and as far as the brook Jabbok, the border of the Ammonites. 17. As also the plain, and Jordan at the boundary, from Quinneret to the sea of the plain, the salt sea, below Asto-Pisgah to the east. 18. And at the same time I commanded you, saying, The Lord your God has given you this land to possess it, so go over armed, all you mighty men, before your brethren the children of Israel. 19. Only your women, and your children, and your livestock, for I know that you have a lot of livestock, will remain in your cities, which I have already given you. 20. Until the Lord gives rest to your brothers like you, that they also may inherit the land which the Lord your God is giving them beyond Jordan, then you shall return each one to his inheritance which I have given you. 21. I also commanded Joshua at the same time, saying, Your eyes have seen all that the Lord your God has done for these 2 kings, so will the Lord do to all the kingdoms where you will pass over. 22. Do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God is he who fights for you. 23. I too asked the Lord for grace at the same time, saying, 24. Lord God, you have already begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand, for what God is there in heaven and on earth, that he can do according to your works, and according to your mighty deeds? 25. Let me pass over, please, that I may see the good land that is beyond Jordan, this good mountain, and Lebanon. 26. But the Lord was very angry with me because of you, and would not listen to me, before the Lord said to me, Enough, speak no more of this matter to me. 27. Go up to the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes to the west, and to the north, and to the south, and to the east, and see with your eyes, because thou shalt not pass over this Jordan. 28. Send Joshua therefore, and encourage him, and strengthen him, for he will pass before this people, and make them possess the land which thou shalt see. 29. So we stayed in this valley opposite Beth Peor. Deuteronomy 4. 1. Now therefore, O Israel, hear the statutes and the judgments which I teach you, to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you. 2. You shall not add to the word which I command you, nor take away from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I command you. 3. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor, for every man that followed Baal Peor, the Lord your God consumed from among you. 4. But you who cling to the Lord your God are all alive today. 5. See, I have taught you statutes and judgments, as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may do so in the midst of the land which you are about to inherit. 6. Keep them therefore, and do them, for this shall be your wisdom and your understanding in the eyes of the peoples, which shall hear all these statutes, and shall say, This great people is a wise and understanding nation. 7. For what nation is there so great, that is God so close as the Lord our God, whenever we call upon him? 8. And what nation is there so great, that has statutes and judgments so just as all this law that I set before you today? 9. Only guard thyself, and guard thy soul well, lest thou forget those things which thine eyes have seen, and let them not depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, and you shall make them known to your children, and to your children's children. 10. The day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, Gather the people together unto me, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and shall teach them to their children. 11. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the middle of the heavens, and there was darkness, and clouds, and darkness. 12. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire, the voice of the words you heard, however, apart from the voice, you did not see any figure. 13. Then he declared to you his covenant which he commanded you to observe, the 10 commandments, and wrote them on 2 tables of stone. 14. The Lord also commanded me at the same time to teach you statutes and judgments, that you might do them in the land which you go over to possess. 15. So keep your souls with diligence, for you saw no figure on the day that the Lord spoke with you out of the midst of the fire in Horeb. 16. Lest you corrupt yourselves, and make yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, likeness of male or female. 17. Figure of any animal that exists on earth, figure of some winged bird that flies through the skies. 18. Figure of some animal that crawls on the earth, figure of some fish that is in the waters under the earth. 19. Do not lift up your eyes to heaven and see the sun, and the moon, and the stars, all the host of the heavens, and you may be moved to bow down to them, and to serve those whom the Lord your God has allocated to all the peoples under all the heavens. 20. But the Lord took you, and brought you out of the iron furnace of Egypt, that you might be his hereditary people, as it is this day. 21. Also the Lord was angry with me because of your words, and swore that I would not cross the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which the Lord your God will give you for an inheritance. 22. Because I will die in this land, I will not cross Jordan, but you shall pass over, and possess that good land. 23. Take heed to yourselves, and do not forget the covenant of the Lord your God, which he made with you, and do not make for yourselves any sculpture, an image of anything that the Lord your God has forbidden you. 24. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. 25. When therefore you beget children, and children's children, and grow old on the earth, and corrupt yourselves, and make a sculpture in the likeness of anything, and do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, to provoke him to anger. 26. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that you will surely soon perish from the land which you are crossing Jordan to possess. Ye shall not prolong your days therein, but ye shall be utterly destroyed. 27. And the Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and you will be left few in number among the nations where the Lord will lead you. 28. And there you will serve gods that are the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. 29. Then shalt thou seek the Lord thy God from there, and thou shalt find him, when thou seekest him with all thy heart and with all thy soul. 30. When you are in distress, and all these things overtake you, then in the last days you will return to the Lord your God, and you will listen to his voice. 31. For the Lord your God is a merciful God, and he will not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant he swore to your fathers. 32. Now therefore, ask the ancient times, which were before you from the day that God created man on the earth, from one end of heaven to the other, whether anything so great as this has ever happened, or whether anything like this has ever been heard of. It is 33. Or if any people heard the voice of God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you heard it, and lived. 34. Or if God intended to go and take a people for himself from among another people with trials, with signs, and with wonders, and with skin, and with a strong hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terrors, according to all that the Lord your God made you in Egypt in your eyes. 35. It was shown to you that you might know that the Lord is God, there is none other but Him. 36. From heaven He made you hear His voice, to teach you, and upon the earth He showed you His great fire, and you heard His words out of the midst of the fire. 37. And because He loved your fathers, and chose their seed after them, He brought you out of Egypt before Him by His great strength. 38. To drive out nations greater and mightier than you from before you, to bring you in and give you their land as an inheritance, as it is this day. 39. Therefore today you shall know, and reflect in your heart, that the Lord alone is God, in heaven above and on earth beneath, there is no other. 40. And thou shalt keep His statutes and His commandments, which I command thee this day, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee, and that thou mayest prolong thy days in the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee forever and ever. 41. So Moses set apart 3 cities across Jordan, on the side of the rising of the sun. 42. So that the murderer who involuntarily killed his neighbor to whom he had no hatred before could shelter there, and if he would flee to one of these cities, and live. 43. To Bezer, in the wilderness, on the plateau, to the Reubenites, and to Ramoth and Gilead for the Gadites, and to Golan and Bashan for the Manassites. 44. This, then, is the law that Moses proposed to the children of Israel. 45. These are the testimonies, and the statutes, and the judgments, which Moses spoke to the children of Israel, when he came out of Egypt. 46. Beyond the Jordan, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel smote, when they came out of Egypt. 47. And they took possession of his land, and the land of Og king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond Jordan, on the side of the rising of the sun. 48. From Aroer, which is on the bank of the brook Arnon, to Mount Zion, which is Hermon. 49. And all the plain beyond the Jordan, on the east side, to the sea of the plain, below Ashdoth Pisgah. Deuteronomy 5. 1. And he called Moses to all Israel, and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, and ye shall learn them, and keep them, to do them. 2. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. 3. Not with our fathers did the Lord make this covenant, but with us, all who are alive here today. 4. Face to face the Lord spoke to us on the mountain, out of the midst of the fire. 5. At that time I was standing between the Lord and you, to declare to you the word of the Lord, because you feared the fire and did not go up the mountain, saying. 6. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. 7. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. 8. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or on the earth beneath, or in the waters under the earth. 9. Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the iniquity of the fathers to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. 10. And I show mercy to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. 11. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. 12. Keep the Sabbath day holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 13. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. 14. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. You shall not do any work on it, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your animals, nor the alien that is inside your doors, that your manservant and your maidservant may rest like you. 15. For thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God brought thee out of there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. 16. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may go well with you in the land which the Lord your God gives you. 17. Thou shalt not kill. 18. Thou shalt not commit adultery. 19. Thou shalt not steal. 20. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. 21. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, nor his field, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. 22. These words the Lord spoke to all your congregation on the mountain, out of the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the darkness, with a loud voice, and added nothing, and he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone, and gave them to me. 23. And it came to pass, when I heard the voice out of the midst of darkness, and saw the mountain burning with fire, that you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes, and your elders. 24. And you said, Behold, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. Today we have seen that God speaks to man, and that he remains alive. 25. Now then, why should we die? For this great fire would consume us. If we listened any more to the voice of the Lord our God, we would die. 26. For who is there of all flesh, that heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we do, and lived? 27. Draw near, and hear all that the Lord our God says, and you shall tell us all that the Lord our God says to you, and we will hear and do it. 28. When the Lord heard your words, when you spoke to me, the Lord said to me, I have heard the words of this people, which they spoke to you, in everything they spoke well. 29. Oh, that they had such a heart that they would fear me, and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and their children forever. 30. Go, say to them, return to your tents. 31. You, however, remain here with me, that I may tell you all the commandments, and statutes, and judgments, which you are to teach them, to do them in the land that I will give them to possess it. 32. See to it that you do as the Lord your God commanded you, you shall not deviate either to the right or to the left. 33. You shall walk in all the way which the Lord your God commands you, that you may live and that it may go well with you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which you shall possess. Deuteronomy 6. 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go over to possess it. 2. That you may fear the Lord your God, and keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, and your son, and your son's son, all the days of your life, and that your days may be prolonged. 3. Hear therefore, O Israel, and be careful to do them, that it may go well with you, and that you may multiply greatly, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. 5. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. 6. And these words, which I command you today, shall be in your heart. 7. And thou shalt teach them to thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. 8. You shall also bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be for you as frontlets between your eyes. 9. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. 10. So when the Lord your God brings you into the land which he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you, with cities great and good, which you did not build. 11. And houses full of all good things, which you did not fill, and wells dug, which you did not dig, vineyards and olive groves, which you did not plant, and you shall eat and be satisfied. 12. Take heed that you do not forget the Lord, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. 13. The Lord your God you shall fear, and him you shall serve, and by his name you shall swear. 14. You shall not follow other gods, the gods of the peoples around you. 15. For the Lord your God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord your God burn against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. 16. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, as you tried him at Massah. 17. You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he commanded you. 18. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may go well with thee, and that thou mayest go in and possess the good land, which the Lord swore to give to thy fathers. 19. That I may drive out all your enemies from before you, as the Lord has spoken. 20. When thy son shall ask thee in the future, saying, What mean the testimonies, and statutes, and judgments, which the Lord our God hath commanded you? 21. Then you shall say to your son, We were Pharaoh's servants in Egypt, but the Lord, with a strong hand, brought us out of Egypt. 22. And the Lord, in our eyes, did signs and wonders, great and terrible, against Egypt, against Pharaoh and all his house. 23. And from there he took us, to take us, and give us the land that he swore to our fathers. 24. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, to keep us alive, as at this day. 25. And it will be righteousness for us, if we are careful to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he has commanded us. Deuteronomy 7. 1. When the Lord your God brings you into the land which you are going to possess it, and has driven out many nations from before you, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations more numerous and mightier than you. 2. And the Lord thy God hath set them before thee, to smite them, thou shalt utterly destroy them, thou shalt not make a covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. 3. Nor shalt thou make affinity with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, and his daughter thou shalt not take unto thy son. 4. For they would turn your children away from me to serve other gods, and the anger of the Lord would burn against you, and quickly consume you. 5. But thus shall you do to them, you shall tear down their altars, break down their statues, and you shall cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. 6. For you are a holy people to the Lord your God, the Lord your God has chosen you to be his special people, out of all peoples on earth. 7. The Lord took no pleasure in you, nor chose you, because your multitude were more than all other peoples, for you were fewer in number than all other peoples. 8. But because the Lord loved you, and to keep the oath which he swore to your fathers, the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you from the house of bondage, from the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt. 9. Know therefore that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps covenant and mercy to 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commandments. 10. And he repays those who hate him to the face, causing him to perish. He will not be slow to those who hate him, he will repay him in his face. 11. Keep therefore the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you to do today. 12. It shall come to pass, therefore, that if you hear these judgments, and keep them, and do them, the Lord your God will keep you the covenant and mercy which he swore to your fathers. 13. And he will love you, and bless you, and make you multiply. He will bless the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, your grain, and your new wine, and your oil, and the breeding of your kine, and the flock of your little cattle, in the land that he swore to your fathers. Give it to you. 14. Blessed shall you be above all peoples. No one will be barren among you, whether male or female, or among your livestock. 15. And the Lord will take away all sickness from you. He will not put any of the evil diseases of the Egyptians on you, which you know, but he will put them on all those who hate you. 16. For thou shalt consume all the peoples which the Lord thy God shall give thee, your eyes will not spare them, and you shall not serve their gods, for that would be a snare to you. 17. If you say in your heart, these nations are more numerous than I, how can I throw them out? 18. Do not be afraid of them, Do not forget what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all the Egyptians. 19. From the great trials that your eyes saw, and from the signs, and wonders, and the mighty hand, and outstretched arm, wherewith the Lord your God brought you out, so shall the Lord your God do to all the peoples of whom you fear. 20. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet among them, until those who remain and hide before you perish. 21. Do not be dismayed at them, for the Lord your God is in your midst, the great and terrible God. 22. And the Lord your God will drive these nations out little by little from before you. Thou shalt not be able to destroy them all at once, lest the wild beasts of the field multiply against thee. 23. And the Lord your God will deliver them to you, and he will inflict great confusion on them until they are consumed. 24. Their kings also will he give into your hand, that you may blot out their names from under heaven. No man will stand before you until you destroy them. 25. The graven images of their gods you shall burn with fire, the silver and the gold that are upon them you shall not covet, neither shall you take them for yourself, lest you be snared by them, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. 26. Thou shalt not bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be accursed like her. Thou shalt utterly detest it, and utterly abhor it, for it is accursed. Deuteronomy 8. 1. All the commandments that I command you today you shall keep to do them, that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to your fathers. 2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee, and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments, or no. 3. And he humbled thee, and let thee be hungry, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, to make you understand that man does not live on bread alone, but on everything that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord man will live. For your garment did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. 5. Know therefore in your heart, that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. 6. And keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to fear him. 7. For the Lord your God has set you in a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains, and of springs, which issue out of the valleys and mountains. 8. Land of wheat and barley, and of vines, and fig trees, and pomegranates, land of olive trees, oil and honey. 9. Land where you will eat bread without scarcity, and you will lack nothing in it, land whose stones are iron, and out of whose mountains you will dig copper. 10. So when you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall praise the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. 11. Take heed that you forget not the Lord your God, by failing to keep his commandments, and his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you today. 12. Lest when you have eaten and are satisfied, and have built good houses and inhabited them. 13. And if your herds and your flocks have increased, and silver and gold have increased, and all that you have multiplied. 14. If your heart is lifted up and you forget the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. 15. Who led you through that great and terrible wilderness, with fiery serpents and scorpions and dry ground where there was no water, and he drew water for you out of the flint rock. 16. Who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, to humble you, and to prove you, to do you good in the end. 17. And say in thine heart, my strength, and the might of my hand, hath gotten me this power. 18. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for he it is that giveth thee strength to get riches, to confirm his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is this day. 19. But it shall come to pass, if you forget the Lord your God at all, and if you listen to other gods, and serve them, and bow down to them, I testify against you today that you shall surely perish. 20. Like the nations which the Lord destroys before you, so shall you perish, because you would not obey the voice of the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 9. 1. Hear, O Israel, today you will cross Jordan to go and to possess nations greater and mightier than you, great cities, walled up to the heavens. 2. A people great and tall, children of giants, whom you know and have heard about. Who would stand before the children of the giants? 3. Know therefore this day that the Lord thy God, which goeth before thee, is a consuming fire, which shall destroy them, and cast them down from before thee, and thou shalt cast them out, and quickly destroy them, as the Lord hath spoken unto thee. 4. So when the Lord your God drives them out from before you, do not speak in your heart, saying, It is because of my righteousness that the Lord brought me into this land to possess it, for it is because of the wickedness of these nations that the Lord drives them out from before you. 5. It is not for the sake of your righteousness, nor for the uprightness of your heart, that you go in to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations the Lord your God drives them out from before you, and to confirm the word which the Lord swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 6. Know therefore that it is not because of your righteousness that the Lord your God is giving you this good land to possess it, for you are a stubborn people. 7. Remember, and do not forget, that you greatly provoked the Lord your God to anger in the wilderness. From the day you came out of Egypt until you came to this place, you rebelled against the Lord. 8. For in Horeb you provoked the Lord to anger, so that the Lord was angry with you to destroy you. 9. When I went up to the mountain to receive the stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant that the Lord had made with you, then I stayed on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Bread I did not eat, and water I did not drink. 10. And the Lord gave me the 2 tablets of stone, written with the finger of God, and on them was written according to all the words which the Lord spoke with you on the mountain out of the midst of the fire in the day of the assembly. 11. So it came to pass, at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights, that the Lord gave me the 2 tables of stone, the tables of the covenant. 12. And the Lord said to me, Arise, go down quickly from here, for your people, whom you brought out of Egypt, have already corrupted themselves. They quickly turned aside from the path I had commanded them, they made themselves a molten image. 13. The Lord spoke to me again, saying, I have considered this people, and, behold, they are a stubborn people. 14. Let me destroy them, and blot out their name from under heaven, and make you a nation mightier and more numerous than this. 15. Then I turned and went down the mountain, which burned with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in both my hands. 16. And I looked, and, behold, you had sinned against the Lord your God, you had made a molten calf, you quickly turned away from the path which the Lord had commanded you. 17. So I took the 2 tables, threw them from my hands, and broke them before your eyes. 18. And I cast myself before the Lord, as before, 40 days and 40 nights, I ate no bread and drank no water, because of all your sin which you had committed, in doing evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. 19. For I feared because of the anger and fury with which the Lord was angry with you to destroy you, but yet this time the Lord heard me. 20. Also the Lord was very angry with Aaron to destroy him, but I also prayed for Aaron at the same time. 21. But I took your sin, the calf that you had made, and burned it with fire, and trampled it down, grinding it well, until it crumbled to dust, and the dust thereof I cast into the brook that came down from the mountain. 22. Also in Taberah, and in Massa, and in Quebrot Hadavah, you provoked the Lord to anger very much. 23. When the Lord also sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and possess the land which I have given you, ye rebelled at the commandment of the Lord your God, and believed not him, and obeyed not his voice. 24. You have been rebellious against the Lord since the day I knew you. 25. And I prostrated myself before the Lord, those 40 days and 40 nights I lay prostrate, because the Lord had said that he would destroy you. 26. And I prayed to the Lord, saying, Lord God, do not destroy your people and your inheritance, which you redeemed by your greatness, which you brought out of Egypt with a strong hand. 27. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not consider the hardness of this people, nor their wickedness, nor their sin. 28. Lest the people of the land from whence thou broughtest us up say, because the Lord was not able to bring them into the land whereof he spake unto them, and because he hated them, he brought them out to slay them in the wilderness. 29 Yet they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought forth by your great strength and by your outstretched arm. Deuteronomy 10:1. At that time the Lord said to me, Plane 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and come up to me on the mountain, and make yourself an ark of wood. 2. And on those tablets I will write the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke, and you shall put them in the ark. 3. So I made an ark of acacia wood, and I smoothed out 2 stone boards like the first ones, and I went up the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hand. 4. Then he wrote on the tablets, according to the first scripture, the 10 commandments, which the Lord spoke to you in the day of the assembly, in the mountain, out of the midst of the fire, and the Lord gave it to me. 5. And I turned, and came down from the mountain, and put the boards in the ark which I had made, and there they are, as the Lord commanded me. 6. And the children of Israel departed from Berith-bani Jaakan to Mosera, there Aaron died, and there he was buried, and Eleazar his son ministered in the priest's office in his stead. 7. From there they journeyed to Gudgoda, and from Gudgoda to Jotbatta, the land of streams of water. 8. At the same time the Lord set apart the tribe of Levi, to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord, to serve him, and to bless in his name to this day. 9. Therefore Levi has no part or inheritance with his brothers, the Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God has spoken to him. 10. And I was on the mountain, as in the first days, 40 days and 40 nights, and the Lord heard me yet this time, the Lord did not want to destroy you. 11. But the Lord said to me, Arise, go your way before the people, that they may go in and possess the land which I swore to give their fathers. 12. Now therefore, O Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you, but to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. 13. That you keep the commandments of the Lord, and his statutes, which I command you today, for your good. 14. Behold, the heavens and the heavens of heavens belong to the Lord your God, the earth and all that is in it. 15. Only the Lord was pleased with your parents to love them, and you, their offspring, he chose after them, above all peoples as it is this day. 16. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. 17. For the Lord your God is God of gods, and Lord of lords, the great God, mighty and terrible, who shows no respect of persons, nor accepts reward. 18. Who gives justice to the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him bread and clothing. 19. Therefore you will love the foreigner, because you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. 20. The Lord your God you shall fear, him shalt thou serve, and to him shalt thou cleave, and by his name shalt thou swear. 21. He is your praise and your God, who has done for you these great and terrible things that your eyes have seen. 22. With 70 souls your fathers went down to Egypt, and now the Lord your God has made you like the stars of heaven for multitude. Deuteronomy 11:1. Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his ordinances, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments, alway. 2. And today you will know that I speak, not to your children, who do not know it, and have not seen the instruction of the Lord your God, his greatness, his strong hand, and his outstretched arm. 3. Nor his signs, nor his deeds, which he did in the midst of Egypt to Pharaoh king of Egypt, and to all his land. 4. Nor what he did to the army of the Egyptians, to their horses and to their chariots, when he caused the waters of the Red Sea to pass over them when they pursued you, and how the Lord destroyed them, to this day. 5. Nor what he did to you in the wilderness until you came to this place. 6. And what did he do to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, the son of Reuben, how the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, with their houses and with their tents, and all that remained, and belonged to them, in the midst of all Israel. 7. For your eyes are those that have seen all the great work that the Lord has done. 8. Keep therefore all the commandments which I command you today, that ye may be strong, and go in and occupy the land which ye go over to possess. 9. And that you may prolong your days in the land which the Lord swore to give your fathers and their descendants, a land flowing with milk and honey. 10. For the land which you go in to possess is not like the land of Egypt, from which you came, where you sowed your seed, and watered it with your foot, like a garden. 11. But the land which you go to possess is a land of hills and valleys, he will drink water from the rain of heaven. 12. Land which the Lord your God cares for, the eyes of the Lord your God are upon it continually, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. 13. And it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey my commandments which I command you today, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. 14. Then I will give the rain of your land in its season, the former and the latter, that you may gather your grain, and your new wine, and your oil. 15. And I will send grass in your field for your livestock, and you will eat and be satisfied. 16. Take heed to yourselves, lest your heart be deceived, and you turn aside, and serve other gods, and bow down to them. 17. And the anger of the Lord shall be kindled against you, and he shall shut the heavens, that there be no water, and the earth yield not her fruit, and ye perish quickly from the good land which the Lord giveth you. 18. Lay up therefore these words of mine in your heart and in your soul, and bind them as a sign on your hand, that they may be headdresses between your eyes. 19. And teach them to your children, talking about them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. 20. And write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. 21. That your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. 22. For if you diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you to keep, loving the Lord your God, walking in all his ways, and holding fast to him. 23. And the Lord will drive out all these nations from before you, and you will possess nations greater and mightier than you. 24. Every place where the sole of your foot treads will be yours, from the desert, and from Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, to the western sea, shall be your boundary. 25. No one will stand before you, the Lord your God will put your terror and the fear of you over all the land that you tread through, as he promised you. 26. Behold, I set before you today the blessing and the curse. 27. The blessing, when you do the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today. 28. But the curse, if you do not keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and turn from the way that I command you today, to follow other gods that you have not known. 29. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord thy God bringeth thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt pronounce the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. 30. Are they not across Jordan, by the way of the setting sun, in the land of the Canaanites, who dwell in the plain before Gilgal, by the oak groves of Moor? 31. For ye shall cross Jordan to go and to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you, and ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. 32. Be careful therefore to observe all the statutes and judgments that I set before you today. Deuteronomy 12. 1. These are the statutes and the judgments which you are careful to observe in the land which the Lord God of your fathers has given you to possess it all the days that you live on the earth. 2. You shall utterly destroy all places, where the nations which you shall dispossess serve their gods, on the high mountains, and on the hills, and under every leafy tree. 3. And you will tear down their altars, and break down their statues, and burn their groves with fire, and destroy the graven images of their gods, and blot out their name from that place. 4. You shall not do this to the Lord your God. 5. But the place which the Lord your God will choose out of all your tribes, to put his name there, you shall seek for his dwelling, and there you shall come. 6. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and your vows, and your freewill offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. 7. And you shall eat there before the Lord your God, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to, you and your households, in which the Lord your God blesses. 8. Ye shall not do according to all that we do here today, each one of you whatever is right in his own eyes. 9. For until now you have not entered into the rest and into the inheritance which the Lord your God is giving you. 10. But ye shall cross Jordan, and dwell in the land which the Lord your God shall give you as an inheritance, and he will give you rest from all your enemies round about, and you will dwell in safety. 11. Then there will be a place that the Lord your God will choose to cause his name to dwell there. There shall you bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and the heave offering of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow to the Lord. 12. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, you, and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for with you he has no part or inheritance. 13. Take heed that you do not offer your burnt offerings in every place that you see. 14. But in the place which the Lord chooses in one of your tribes, there you shall offer your burnt offerings, and there you shall do all that I command you. 15. But according to all the desire of your soul, you shall kill and eat flesh within your gates, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he gives you in all your gates. The unclean and the clean shall eat of it, as of the heart and of the heart. 16. You shall not eat the blood alone, you shall pour it out on the earth like water. 17. You may not eat within your gates the tithe of your grain, nor of your wine, nor of your oil, nor the firstlings of your herds, nor of your flocks, nor any of your vows that you promised, nor your freewill offerings, nor the heave offering of your hand. 18. But thou shalt eat them before the Lord thy God, in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, thou, and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God in all that thou settest thy hand to. 19. Take care that you do not forsake the Levite all your days on earth. 20. When the Lord your God enlarges your borders, as he said to you, and you say, I will eat flesh, because your soul longs to eat flesh, according to all your soul's desire you shall eat flesh. 21. If the place which the Lord your God chooses to put his name there is far from you, then you shall slaughter of your herds and your flocks which the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, and thou shalt eat within thy gates, according to all the desire of thy soul. 22. But as roe deer and deer are eaten, so shall you eat, the unclean and the clean will also eat of them. 23. Just make sure you don't eat the blood, for the blood is life, therefore thou shalt not eat the living with the flesh. 24. Thou shalt not eat it, you shall pour it out on the earth like water. 25. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may go well with you, and with your children after you, when you do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord. 26. But the holy things which thou hast, and thy vows, thou shalt take, and come to the place which the Lord shall choose. 27. And thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, upon the altar of the Lord thy God, and the blood of thy sacrifices shall be poured out upon the altar of the Lord thy God, but the flesh shalt thou eat. 28. Keep and hear all these words that I command you, that it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do what is good and right in the eyes of the Lord your God. 29. When the Lord your God uproots the nations from before you, where you are going to possess them, and you possess them and dwell in his land. 30. Take care that you do not become ensnared by following them after they are destroyed before you, and do not ask about their gods, saying, as these nations serve their gods, so will I. 31. Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for all that is an abomination to the Lord, and which he hates, they have done to their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they burned in the fire to their gods. 32. All that I command you, you shall observe to do, thou shalt not add to it nor subtract from it. Thanks for watching this video. please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment. Deuteronomy 13. 1. What a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder. 2. And that sign or wonder shall come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, Let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. 3. Thou shalt not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you, to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. 4. You shall walk after the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and serve him, and cleave to him. 5. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall die, because he spoke rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you from the house of bondage, to depart from the way which the Lord your God commanded you, to walk in it. So shalt thou put away evil from among thee. 6. When your brother, your mother's son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who is like your soul, urges you, saying to you in secret, Let's go, and let us serve others gods that you did not know, neither you nor your fathers. 7. Among the gods of the peoples that are round about you, near or far from you, from one end of the earth to the other end. 8. You shall not consent to him, nor shall you listen to him, neither shall thine eyes spare him, neither wilt thou pity him, nor hide him. 9. But you will surely kill him, your hand will be the first against him, to kill him, and then the hand of all the people. 10. And you shall stone him to death, because he sought to separate you from the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. 11. So that all Israel may hear and be afraid of it, and never again do such wickedness among you. 12. When you hear of one of your cities that the Lord your God is giving you to dwell there. 13. Some men, sons of Belial, who went out from among you, stirred up the inhabitants of their city, saying, Let us go, and let us serve other gods that you have not known. 14. Then shalt thou inquire, and with diligence shalt inquire, and, behold, it being true and certain, that such an abomination was done among thee. 15. You will surely strike the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it and everything in it, even the animals. 16. And thou shalt gather all her spoil in the midst of her square, and thou shalt burn the city and all its spoil utterly to the Lord thy God, and it shall be a perpetual heap, never to be built again. 17. Neither shall anything of the accursed thing take hold of your hand, that the Lord may turn away from the fierceness of his anger, and show you mercy, and have mercy on you, and multiply you, as he swore to your fathers. 18. When thou shalt obey the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep all his commandments which I command thee this day, to do what is right in the eyes of the Lord your God. Deuteronomy 14. 1. You are the children of the Lord your God, you shall not cut yourselves, nor make baldness between your eyes because of a dead man. 2. For you are a people holy to the Lord your God, and the Lord has chosen you, out of all the peoples that are on the face of the earth, to be his own people. 3. You shall not eat any abominable thing. 4. These are the animals you will eat, the ox, the sheep, and the goat. 5. The deer, and the doe, and the buffalo, and the wild goat, and the badger, and the chamois, and the fallow deer. 6. Any animal that has cloven hoofs, divided in two, that chews the cud, among the animals, that you shall eat. 7. But these you shall not eat, of those that only chew the cud, or that have cloven hoofs, the camel, and the hare, and the rabbit, because they chew the cud but do not have cloven hoofs, filthy shall you be. 8. Nor the pig, because it has a cloven hoof, but does not chew the cud, it shall be unclean to you, you shall not eat their flesh, nor shall you touch their carcasses. 9. This ye shall eat of all that is in the waters, whatever has fins and scales you may eat. 10. But anything that does not have fins or scales you shall not eat, it will be unclean to you. 11. You shall eat every clean bird. 12. But these are the ones that you shall not eat: the eagle, and the snapper, and the 13. And the vulture, and the hawk, and the kite, after their kind. 14. And every raven after its kind. 15. And the ostrich, and the owl, and the seagull, and the hawk, after their kind. 16. And the owl, and the crow. 17. And the swan, and the pelican, and the cormorant. 18. And the stork, and the heron, after its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. 19. Also every insect that flies is unclean to you, it will not be eaten. 20. You shall eat every clean bird. 21. You shall not eat any dead animal. You shall feed the stranger who is within your gates, or sell him to a stranger, for you are a people holy to the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. 22. Thou shalt surely tithe all the fruit of thy seed, which is gathered out of the field each year. 23. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God, in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy grain, of thy wine, and of thy oil, and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that you may learn to fear the Lord your God always. 24. And when the way is so long for you that you are not able to carry it, because the place which the Lord your God will choose to put his name there is too far from you, when the Lord your God has blessed you. 25. Then sell them, and bind the money in your hand, and go to the place which the Lord your God will choose. 26. And thou shalt give that money for all that thy soul desires, for oxen, and for sheep, and for wine, and for strong drink, and for all that thy soul desireth. Eat it there before the Lord your God, and rejoice, you and your house. 27. But you shall not forsake the Levite who is within your gates, for he has no part or inheritance with you. 28. At the end of 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithes of thy increase in the same year, and thou shalt collect them within thy gates. 29. Then the Levite, for he has no part or inheritance with you, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, who are within your gates, shall come and eat and be satisfied, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work that your hands do. Deuteronomy 15. 1. At the end of 7 years you will make remission. 2. This, then, is the way of redemption. Every creditor shall redeem what he lent to his neighbor. He shall not require it of his neighbor or his brother, for the release of the Lord is proclaimed. 3. From abroad you will demand it, but whatever you have in your brother's hand your hand will release. 4. Except when there is no poor among you, for the Lord will bless you abundantly in the land which the Lord your God will give you for an inheritance, to possess it. 5. If only you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God, to take care to do all these commandments that I command you today. 6. For the Lord your God will bless you, as he has promised you. Thus thou shalt lend to many nations, but thou shalt not borrow, and you will rule over many nations, but they will not rule over you. 7. If there be among you a poor man, one of your brothers, in any of your gates in the land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart, nor close your hand from your brother who is poor. 8. Rather, you will open your hand to him and freely lend him what he lacks, as much as is sufficient for his need. 9. Take heed that there be no perverse word in your heart, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, is at hand, and may your eye be evil toward your poor brother, and you give him nothing, and let him cry against you to the Lord, and let there be sin in you. 10. Freely thou shalt give him, and let not thine heart be evil when thou givest him, for on this account the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all that you put your hand to. 11. For the poor will never cease from the land, therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand freely to your brother, to your needy, and to your poor in your land. 12. When your Hebrew brother or Hebrew sister sells himself to you, 6 years he shall serve you, but in the 7th year you shall let him go free. 13. And when you let him go free, you won't send him away empty. 14. thou shalt supply them freely from thy flock, and from thy threshing floor, and from thy winepress, of what the Lord your God has blessed you with, you shall give him. 15. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord thy God redeemed thee, therefore I command you this day. 16. But if he says to you, I will not leave you, because I love you, and your house, because I am well with you. 17. Then shalt thou take an awl, and pierce his ear at the gate, and he shall be thy servant forever, and so shall you do to your handmaid. 18. Do not be harsh in your eyes, when I send him free from you, for 6 years he served you equivalent to twice the wages of a day laborer, so the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. 19. Every firstling born of your herds and of your flocks, the male you shall sanctify to the Lord your God. You shall not work with the firstborn of your ox, nor shall you shear the firstborn of your flock. 20. You shall eat them before the Lord your God from year to year, in the place which the Lord shall choose, you and your household. 21. But if it has a blemish, if it is lame, or blind, or has any blemish, you shall not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. 22. In your gates you shall eat it, the unclean and the clean shall eat it also, like a hart or a stag. 23. Only his blood thou shalt not eat, you shall pour it out on the earth like water. Deuteronomy 16. 1. Keep the month of Abib, and keep the Passover to the Lord your God, for in the month of Abib the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt by night. 2. Then thou shalt sacrifice the Passover to the Lord thy God, of the flocks and of the herds, in the place which the Lord shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. 3. Thou shalt not eat leaven therein, 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread therein, the bread of affliction, because thou hast left the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day of thy departure from the land of Egypt all the days of thy life. 4. Leaven shall not appear with thee for 7 days in all thy terms. Also of the meat that you kill in the evening on the first day, nothing will remain until the morning. 5. Thou shalt not sacrifice the Passover in any of thy gates which the Lord thy God giveth thee. 6. Except in the place which the Lord your God will choose to cause his name to dwell, there you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at sunset, at the appointed time for you to leave Egypt. 7. Then thou shalt bake it, and eat it in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, then you will return in the morning, and you will go to your tents. 8. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day it is a feast to the Lord thy God, no work shall you do. 9. 7 weeks thou shalt count, as soon as the sickle begins in the harvest, you will begin to count the 7 weeks. 10. Afterward thou shalt keep the feast of weeks unto the Lord thy God, whatever you give shall be a freewill offering from your hand, as the Lord your God has blessed you. 11. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God, thou, and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, who are in your midst, in the place which the Lord your God will choose to cause his name to dwell there. 12. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in Egypt, and thou shalt keep these statutes, and do them. 13. 7 days shall you keep the Feast of Tabernacles, when you have gathered from your threshing floor and from your winepress. 14. And at thy feast thou shalt rejoice, thou, and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow, which are inside your doors. 15. 7 days thou shalt keep a feast to the Lord thy God, in the place which the Lord shall choose, for the Lord your God will bless you in all your produce and in all the work of your hands, therefore you will surely rejoice. 16. 3 times in the year shall every male among you appear before the Lord your God, in the place which he shall choose, at the feast of unleavened bread, and at the feast of weeks, and at the feast of tabernacles, but he shall not appear empty before the Lord. 17. Each one according to the gift of his hand, according to the blessing of the Lord your God, which he gave him. 18. You shall appoint judges and officials in all your cities which the Lord your God gives you among your tribes, that they may judge the people with righteous judgment. 19. Thou shalt not twist judgment, thou shalt not be partial, neither shalt thou receive bribes, for the breast blinds the eyes of the wise, and perverts the words of the righteous. 20. Justice, only justice you will follow, that you may live and possess the land which the Lord your God is giving you. 21. You shall not plant any tree beside the altar of the Lord your God, which you make for yourself. 22. Nor shall you set up an image, which the Lord your God hates. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment. Deuteronomy 17. 1. You shall not sacrifice to the Lord your God an ox or a herd that has a blemish or anything bad, for it is an abomination to the Lord your God. 2. When in your midst, in any of your gates that the Lord your God gives you, there is found a man or woman who does evil in the eyes of the Lord your God, transgressing his covenant. 3. Who should go and serve other gods, and bow down to them, or to the sun, or to the moon, or to all the host of heaven, which I have not commanded. 4. And it is denounced to you, and you listen to it, then thou shalt inquire well, and behold, it being true and certain that this abomination was done in Israel. 5. Then you shall bring out the man or woman who has done this evil thing at your gates, and the man or woman you shall stone to death. 6. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or 3 witnesses, he who is to die shall be put to death, by the mouth of 1 witness he shall not die. 7. The hands of the witnesses will first be against him, to kill him, and then the hands of all the people, so shalt thou put away evil from among thee. 8. When anything is too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between lawsuit and lawsuit, between wound and wound, in disputes within your gates, then you shall arise and go up to the place which the Lord your God will choose. 9. And thou shalt come to the Levitical priests, and to the judge who shall be in those days, and shall inquire, and they shall declare to thee the sentence of judgment. 10. And you shall do according to the commandment of the word that they announce to you in the place that the Lord chooses, and you shall be careful to do according to all that they teach you. 11. According to the mandate of the law that they teach you, and according to the judgment that they tell you, you shall do, from the word that they announce to you, you will not deviate, neither to the right nor to the left. 12. The man, therefore, who acts arrogantly, not listening to the priest, who is there to serve the Lord your God, nor to the judge, that man shall die, and thou shalt put away evil from Israel. 13. That all the people may hear him, and be afraid, and never be puffed up again. 14. When thou shalt come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and thou shalt possess it, and dwell therein, and thou shalt say, I will set a king over me, as have all the nations that are round about me. 15. Whoever the Lord your God chooses you shall surely set over you as king, thou shalt make king over thee of thy brethren, thou shalt not set a strange man upon thee, who is not of thy brethren. 16. But he will not multiply horses for himself, nor will he bring the people back to Egypt to multiply horses, for the Lord hath said unto you, Ye shall never return by this way again. 17. Neither shall he multiply wives for himself, lest his heart be turned away, neither silver nor gold will multiply much for you. 18. It shall be also, that when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, then shall he write for himself in a book, a copy of this law, from the original which is before the Levite priests. 19. And he shall have it with him, and he shall read in it all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of this law, and these statutes, to do them. 20. Lest his heart be lifted up against his brethren, and turn away from the commandment, neither to the right hand nor to the left, that he may prolong his days and his kingdom, he and his children, in the midst of Israel. Deuteronomy 18. 1. The Levitical priests, the entire tribe of Levi, will have no part or inheritance with Israel, they shall eat of the offerings made by fire of the Lord, and of his inheritance. 2. Therefore they shall have no inheritance among their brethren, the Lord is their inheritance, as he has said to them. 3. This, then, shall be the right of the priests, to receive from the people, from those who offer sacrifice, whether ox or young cattle, who shall give the priest the shoulder and the jaws and the belly. 4. You shall give him the first fruits of your grain, of your new wine, and of your oil, and the first fruits of the shearing of your sheep. 5. For the Lord your God has chosen him out of all your tribes, to stand and serve in the name of the Lord, he and his children, all the days. 6. And when a Levite comes from any of your gates, from all Israel, where he dwells, and come with all your soul's desire to the place the Lord has chosen. 7. And serve in the name of the Lord your God, as well as all his brothers the Levites, who stand before the Lord there. 8. An equal portion shall they eat, in addition to the sales of their estate. 9. When you enter the land which the Lord your God gives you, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. 10. There shall not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter pass through the fire, nor a soothsayer, nor an augur, nor a sorcerer. 11. Neither an enchanter, nor one who consults a diviner spirit, nor a magician, nor one who consults the dead. 12. For everyone who does such a thing is an abomination to the Lord, and for these abominations the Lord your God drives them out from before you. 13. You shall be perfect, like the Lord your God. 14. For these nations, which you are to dispossess, listen to soothsayers and diviners, but the Lord your God has not allowed you to do so. 15. The Lord your God will raise you up a prophet from among you, from among your brothers, like me, to him you will listen. 16. According to all that you desired of the Lord your God in Horeb on the day of the assembly, saying, I will not hear again the voice of the Lord your God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. 17. Then the Lord said to me, they spoke well in what they said. 18. Behold, I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brethren, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. 19. And it shall come to pass, that whosoever will not hearken to my words, that he shall speak in my name, I will require of him. 20. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. 21. And if you say in your heart, how shall I know the word which the Lord has not spoken? 22. When the prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, and the word does not come true, nor does it come to pass, this is a word that the Lord has not spoken, with pride did that prophet speak, do not be afraid of him. Deuteronomy 19. 1. When the Lord your God uproots the nations whose land the Lord your God will give you, and you possess them and dwell in their cities and in their houses. 2. You shall set apart 3 cities in the midst of the land which the Lord your God will give you to possess. 3. You will prepare the way, and the borders of thy land, which the Lord thy God shall make thee to possess, thou shalt divide into 3, and this shall be so that every manslayer may flee there. 4. And this is the case with regard to the murderer, who hides there, that he may live, he who by mistake hurts his neighbor, whom he did not hate before. 5. Like a man who goes into the forest with his neighbor to cut wood, and when he puts strength in his hand with an axe to cut down the tree, the iron falls from the handle and strikes his neighbor and he dies, he will flee to one of these cities, and live. 6. Lest the avenger of blood go after the murderer when his heart is raging, and overtake him, because the way is long, and take his life, because he is not guilty of death, since he did not hate him before. 7. Therefore I command you, saying, 3 cities you shall separate. 8. And if the Lord your God enlarges your borders, as he swore to your fathers, and gives you all the land which he said he would give your fathers. 9. When thou shalt keep all these commandments, which I command thee today, to do them, to love the Lord thy God, and to walk in his ways always, then thou shalt add 3 more cities to these 3. 10. lest innocent blood be shed in the midst of your land, which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance, and blood be upon you. 11. But if anyone hates his neighbor, and lies in wait for him, and rises up against him, and strikes him to death, and flees to one of these cities. 12. Then the elders of your city will send for you, and they will take him from there and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. 13. Your eye will not forgive him, but thou shalt put away the innocent blood of Israel, that it may go well with thee. 14. Do not change the boundary of your neighbor, which the ancients set in your inheritance, which you will receive in the land that the Lord your God gives you to possess it. 15. One witness shall not stand against any man for any iniquity, or for any sin, whatever sin he has committed, by the mouth of 2 witnesses, or by the mouth of 3 witnesses, the fact will be established. 16. When a false witness rises up against someone, to testify against him concerning transgression. 17. Then those 2 men, who have the demand, shall appear before the Lord, before the priests and judges who will be in those days. 18. And the judges will inquire well, and behold, being the false witness, who testified falsely against his brother. 19. Do to him as he thought to do to his brother, and so shalt thou put away evil from among thee. 20. So that those who are left may hear and fear, and never again do such evil in your midst. 21. Your eye will not forgive, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Deuteronomy 20. 1. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and see horses and chariots and people greater in number than you, you will not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, is with you. 2. And it shall come to pass, when ye come near to the battle, that the priest shall go forward, and speak to the people. 3. And he shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, today you are near to battle against your enemies, do not let your hearts soften, fear not, nor tremble, nor be terrified before them. 4. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you, to fight against your enemies, to save you. 5. Then the officials will speak to the people, saying, What man is there that built a new house and has not consecrated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and someone else consecrate it. 6. And what man is there who has planted a vineyard and still not enjoyed it? Go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle and someone else enjoys it. 7. And what man is betrothed to a woman and has not yet received her? Go, and return to your house, lest you die in the battle and some other man receive you. 8. And shall the officers continue to speak to the people, saying, Who is the man that is fearful and faint-hearted? Go, and return to his house, lest his brother's hearts melt like his hearts. 9. And it will come about, when the officers have finished speaking to the people, then they will appoint the captains of the armies at the head of the people. 10. When you approach a city to fight it, proclaim peace to it. 11. And it shall come to pass, that if he answer thee in peace, and open the gates to thee, all the people that are found therein shall be tributary to thee, and shall serve thee. 12. But if it does not make peace with you, but makes war on you, then you shall besiege it. 13. And the Lord your God will deliver it into your hand, and every male that is in it thou shalt slay with the edge of the sword. 14. However, the women, and the children, and the animals, and all that is in the city, all its spoil, thou shalt take for thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. 15. Thus shalt thou do to all the cities that are very far from thee, which are not of the cities of these nations. 16. But of the cities of these nations, which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, you shall not let anything live that breathes. 17. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 18. Lest they teach you to do after all their abominations, which they did to their gods, and you sin against the Lord your God. 19. When thou shalt besiege a city for many days, and fight against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy its trees by putting an axe there, for thou shalt eat of them, for thou shalt not cut it down, for the trees of the field are man's food, to use it in the siege. 20. But the trees that you know are not food trees, destroy and cut them down, and against the city that fights against you shall build ramparts, until it is conquered. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment. Deuteronomy 21. 1. If someone is found dead in the land which the Lord your God is giving you to possess it, lying in the field, and it is not known who killed him. 2. Then your elders and your judges will go out and measure the distance to the cities that are around the dead person. 3. And in the city closest to the dead man, the elders of the same city shall take a heifer from the herd, which has not been worked or pulled with the yoke. 4. And the elders of that city will bring the heifer into a rough valley, which was never plowed or sown, and there, in that valley, they will slaughter the heifer. 5. Then the priests, the sons of Levi, will approach, for the Lord thy God hath chosen them to serve him, and to bless him in the name of the Lord, and by his word every claim and every injury shall be decided. 6. And all the elders of the same city, nearest to the dead man, shall wash their hands of the heifer slaughtered in the valley. 7. And they will protest, and say, our hands did not shed this blood, and our eyes did not see it. 8. Show mercy to your people Israel, whom you, O Lord, have redeemed, and do not bring innocent blood among your people Israel. And that blood will be atoned for them. 9. Thus shalt thou put away innocent blood from among thee, for thou shalt do that which is right in the eyes of the Lord. 10. When you go out to battle against your enemies, and the Lord your God delivers them into your hand, and you take them captive. 11. If you see a beautiful woman among the prisoners and lust after her and take her as your wife. 12. Then you shall bring her into your house, and she shall shave her head and cut her nails. 13. And she shall put off the garment of her captivity, and shall sit in your house, and shall weep for her father and mother a whole month, and afterward thou shalt come unto her, and thou shalt be her husband, and she thy wife. 14. And will it be, if you are not content with her, you will let her go as she pleases, but you shall by no means sell her for money, nor treat her as a slave, for you have humbled her. 15. When a man has two wives, one he loves and the other he despises, and the beloved and the despised bear him children, and the firstborn son is by the despised. 16. Will he be able to give the birthright to the son of the beloved on the day he makes his sons inherit what he has, preferring him to the son of the despised, who is the firstborn? 17. But he shall acknowledge the son of the despised as the firstborn, giving him a double portion of all that he has, because that is the beginning of his strength, the birthright is his. 18. When anyone has a stubborn and rebellious son, who does not obey the voice of his father and the voice of his mother, and, when they punish him, does not listen to them. 19. Then his father and mother shall take him, and bring him to the elders of their city, into the gate of his place. 20. And they will say to the elders of the city, this son of ours is rebellious and stubborn, he does not listen to our voice, he is a glutton and a drinker. 21. Then all the men of his city will stone him to death, and thou shalt put away the evil from the midst of thee, and all Israel shall hear and fear. 22. When someone also has sin, worthy of the judgment of death, and he is killed, and you hang him on a tree. 23. His dead body shall not remain on the tree, but you shall certainly bury him the same day, because he who is hanged is cursed by God, so you shall not defile your land, which the Lord your God gives you as an inheritance. Deuteronomy 22. 1. If you see your brother's ox or sheep go astray, you shall not stray from them, thou shalt surely restore them to thy brother. 2. And if your brother is not near you, or you do not know him, then you shall bring them into your house, that they may remain with you until your brother seeks them, and you shall restore them to him. 3. So shalt thou do with his donkey, and so shalt thou do with his garments, so shall you also do with every lost thing, which is lost of your brother, and you find it, you will not be able to omit yourself. 4. If you see your brother's donkey or his ox fallen by the way, do not turn away from them, without fail you will help him to raise them. 5. A woman shall not wear men's clothing, nor shall a man wear women's clothing, for whoever does this is an abomination to the Lord your God. 6. When you find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground along the way, with birds or eggs, and the mother laying on the birds or on the eggs, you shall not take the mother with the young. 7. Thou shalt let the mother go free, and the young thou shalt take for thyself, that it may go well with you and that you may prolong your days. 8. When you build a new house, you shall make a parapet on the roof, so that you will not make your house blood guilty if someone falls out of it. 9. You shall not sow your vineyard with different kinds of seed, lest the fruit of the seed which you sow, and the new growth of the vineyard, wither. 10. Thou shalt not plow with ox and donkey together. 11. Thou shalt not wear different things of wool and linen together. 12. Fringes you shall put on the four corners of your blanket with which to cover yourself. 13. When a man takes a wife and, after living with her, despises her. 14. And imputes scandalous things to her, and spread a bad report against her, saying, I took this woman, and approached her, but I did not find her a virgin. 15. Then the girl's father and her mother shall take the tokens of the girl's virginity, and shall take them to the elders of the city at the gate. 16. And the girl's father shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter to this man to wife, and he despises her. 17. And behold, he imputed scandalous things to him, saying, I did not find your daughter a virgin, but here are the signs of my daughter's virginity. And they will spread out the garment before the city elders. 18. Then the elders of the same city will take that man and punish him. 19. And they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, and shall give them to the girl's father, because he made a bad name about a virgin of Israel. And she will be his wife, and all his days he will not be able to fire her. 20. But if this be true, that is, that virginity was not found in the girl. 21. Then they will take the girl to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city will stone her until she dies, for she has done madness in Israel, prostituting herself in her father's house, so shalt thou put away evil from among thee. 22. When a man is found lying with a woman who has a husband, then both of them shall die, the man who lay with the woman, and the woman, so shalt thou put away the evil of Israel. 23. When there is a virgin girl engaged, and a man finds her in the city, and lies with her. 24. Then you shall bring them both to the gate of that city, and you shall stone them to death, the girl, because she did not cry out in the city, and the man, because he humiliated his neighbor's wife, so shalt thou put away evil from among thee. 25. And if any man in the field finds a betrothed girl, and the man compels her, and lies with her, then only the man who lies with her shall die. 26. But to the girl you will do nothing. The girl is not guilty of death, for like a man who rises up against his neighbor and kills him, so is this case. 27. For he found her in the field, the betrothed girl screamed, and there was no one to rescue her. 28. When a man finds a virgin girl, who is not betrothed, and takes her, and lies with her, and they are caught. 29. Then the man who slept with her shall give the girl's father 50 shekels of silver, and because he humbled her, she shall be his wife, he will not be able to send her away all her days. 30. No man shall take his father's wife, nor uncover his father's nakedness. Deuteronomy 23. 1. Whoever has his testicles crushed or his male member cut off, shall not enter the congregation of the Lord. 2. No bastard shall enter the congregation of the Lord, not even the 10th generation of him shall enter into the congregation of the Lord. 3. No Ammonite or Moabite shall enter the congregation of the Lord, not even the 10th generation of him shall enter into the congregation of the Lord forever. 4. because they did not go out with bread and water to meet you on the way when you came out of Egypt, and because they hired Balaam the son of Beer of Pethor of Mesopotamia against you to curse you. 5. But the Lord your God would not listen to Balaam, before the Lord your God changed the curse into blessing, because the Lord your God loved you. 6. Thou shalt not seek them peace or good all thy days forever. 7. Thou shalt not abhor the Edomite, for he is thy brother, nor shall you abhor the Egyptian, for you are a foreigner in his land. 8. The children born to them in the third generation, each one of them will enter the congregation of the Lord. 9. When the army goes out against your enemies, then you will keep yourself from every evil thing. 10. When there is one among you who, by some accident of the night, is not clean, he shall go outside the camp, he will not come into their midst. 11. But will it be, when the evening declines, he will wash himself in water, and when the sun goes down, he will enter the midst of the camp. 12. You will also have a place outside the camp, where you will go out. 13. And among your weapons you will have a shovel, and it shall come to pass, when thou art seated outside, then thou shalt dig with it, and, turning, thou shalt cover what thou hast defecated. 14. For the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp, to deliver you, and to deliver your enemies to you, therefore thy camp shall be holy, lest he see an evil thing in thee, and depart from thee. 15. You shall not hand over to your master the servant who, having fled from him, will flee to you. 16. He will stay with you, in the midst of you, in the place he chooses in one of your gates, where he pleases, thou shalt not oppress him. 17. There shall be no harlot among the daughters of Israel, neither shall there be a sodomite among the children of Israel. 18. You shall not bring the wages of a harlot or the price of a sodomite into the house of the Lord your God for any vow, for both are equally an abomination to the Lord your God. 19. You shall not lend to your brother at interest, neither money nor food nor anything that is lent at interest. 20. To a stranger thou shalt lend with interest, but to thy brother thou shalt not lend with interest, that the Lord your God may bless you in all that you put your hand to in the land you are about to possess. 21. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not delay in fulfilling it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and sin will be in you. 22. However, abstaining from voting, there will be no sin in you. 23. What has gone out of your lips you shall keep and do, just as you vowed to the Lord your God, declaring it with your mouth. 24. When you go into your neighbor's vineyard, you shall eat the grapes as you desire until you are satisfied, but you shall not put them in your basket. 25. When you enter your neighbor's harvest, with your hand you will pluck the ears, but you shall not put your sickle into your neighbor's field. Deuteronomy 24. 1. When a man takes a woman and marries her, then, if he finds no favor in her eyes because he finds something indecent in her, shall he write her a letter of repudiation, and give it into her hand, and send her away from your home. 2. So if she leaves her house and goes and marries another man. 3. And he also despises her, and writes her a letter of repudiation, and gives it to her, and dismisses her from her house, or if this last man, who took her for his wife, comes to die. 4. Then her first husband, who sent her away, will not be able to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled, for it is an abomination in the sight of the Lord, so you shall not cause the land to sin which the Lord your God gives you for an inheritance. 5. When a man is newly married, he shall not go out to war, nor shall any burden be imposed on him. For a whole year he will be free in his house to make the woman he has taken happy. 6. Both millstones, neither the upper nor the lower millstone, shall be taken as pledge, for thus one would pawn one's life. 7. When someone is found who has stolen one of his brothers, from the children of Israel, and takes him into slavery or sells him, that thief shall die, and you shall put away evil from among you. 8. Beware of the plague of leprosy, and be very careful to do according to all that the Levite priests teach you, as I have commanded them, be careful to do it. 9. Remember what the Lord your God did to Miriam on the way when you left Egypt. 10. When you lend something to your neighbor, you shall not enter his house to take back the pledge. 11. Outside you will stay, and the man to whom you lent will bring back the pledge to you. 12. But if he is a poor man, you shall not lie down with his pledge. 13. When the sun goes down, you will without fail restore the pledge, so that he may sleep in your clothes, and bless you, and this will be righteousness for you before the Lord your God. 14. Thou shalt not oppress the poor and needy laborer of thy brethren, or of thy strangers, who is in thy land and in thy gates. 15. On his day thou shalt pay him his daily rate, and the sun shall not go down on it, because he is poor, and his life depends on it, lest he cry against thee to the Lord, and it be in thee sin. 16. Parents will not die for their children, nor children for their parents, each one will die for his sin. 17. Thou shalt not pervert the law of the stranger and the orphan, nor take a widow's garment as a pledge. 18. But you shall remember that you were a servant in Egypt, and that the Lord your God delivered you from there, therefore I command you to do this. 19. When you reap your harvest in your field, and you forget a sheaf in the field, you shall not take it again, for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow it shall be, that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. 20. When you shake your olive tree, you will not return to pluck the fruit from the branches, for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow it shall be. 21. When you gather your vineyard, you shall not return to glean it, for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow it shall be. 22. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, therefore I command you to do this. Deuteronomy 25. 1. When there is a quarrel between some, and they come to court, that they may judge them, the righteous they will justify, and the unrighteous they will condemn. 2. And it shall come to pass, that if the unjust deserve scourges, the judge shall make him lie down, that he may be scourged before him, according to his guilt shall be the number of stripes. 3. 40 lashes will make him give, no more, lest, perhaps, if I give him more stripes than these, your brother will not be degraded in your eyes. 4. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he is threshing. 5. When brothers live together, and one of them dies, and has no child, then the wife of the deceased shall not marry an outsider, her brother-in-law will be with her, and will take her as his wife, and will perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her. 6. And the firstborn she gives him will succeed his dead brother's name, so that her name will not be erased in Israel. 7. But if the man refuses to take his sister-in-law, she shall go up to the gate of the elders and say, My brother-in-law refuses to raise up a name for his brother in Israel, he doesn't want to do the duty of a brother-in-law to me. 8. Then the elders of his city shall call him, and they shall speak with him, and if he persists and says, I don't want to take it. 9. Then his sister-in-law shall come near to him in the presence of the elders, and shall remove the shoe from his foot, and shall spit in his face, and shall protest, and say, Thus shall it be done unto the man that will not build his brother's house. 10. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of the barefoot. 11. When two men fight against each other, and the wife of one reaches out to deliver her husband from the hand of him who hurt him, and she reaches out her hand and takes hold of her shame. 12. Then shalt thou cut off his hand, your eye will not spare her. 13. In your bag you will not have different weights, a large one and a small one. 14. In your house you shall not have two kinds of ephah, a large one and a small one. 15. Full and fair weight you will have, ephah whole and righteous thou shalt have, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. 16. For everyone who does this is an abomination to the Lord your God, everyone who does unrighteousness. 17. Remember what Amalek did to you on the way out of Egypt. 18. How he met you on the way, and smote at your rear all the weak ones that followed you, when you were weary, and did not fear God. 19. It shall come to pass, when the Lord your God has given you rest from all your enemies round about in the land which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, to possess it, then you shall blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven. Do not forget. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment. Deuteronomy 26. 1. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance, and thou shalt possess it, and dwell therein. 2. And thou shalt take of the firstfruits of all the fruits of the ground, which thou gatherest out of the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and thou shalt put them in a basket, and thou shalt go to the place which the Lord thy God shall choose, to cause his name to dwell there. 3. And thou shalt go to the priest who shall be there in those days, and say unto him, I declare this day before the Lord thy God that I have entered the land which the Lord swore to our fathers to give us. 4. And the priest shall take the basket from your hand, and set it before the altar of the Lord your God. 5. Then thou shalt testify before the Lord thy God, and say, A perishing Aramean was my father, and went down into Egypt, and sojourned there with few people, but grew up there until he became a great, mighty, and numerous nation. 6. But the Egyptians mistreated us and afflicted us, and imposed hard servitude on us. 7. Then we cried to the Lord God of our fathers, and the Lord hearkened to our voice, and saw our misery, and our toil, and our oppression. 8. And the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terror, and with signs, and with miracles. 9. And he brought us to this place, and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. 10. And behold, now I have brought the first of the fruits of the land which you, O Lord, have given me. Then thou shalt lay them before the Lord thy God, and bow down before the Lord thy God. 11. And thou shalt rejoice for all the good which the Lord thy God hath given thee and thy house, thou, and the Levite, and the stranger that is among thee. 12. When you have finished tithing all the tithes of your increase in the 3rd year, which is the year of tithes, then you shall give them to the Levite, the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within your gates and be satisfied. 13. And thou shalt say before the Lord thy God, I have removed the consecrated things out of my house, and have given them also to the Levite, and to the stranger, and to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy commandments which thou hast commanded me. I have not transgressed your commandments, nor forgotten them. 14. I did not eat of them in my mourning, nor did I take anything from them when I was unclean, nor did I give them to the dead. I obeyed the voice of the Lord my God, according to all that you commanded me, I have done. 15. Look down from your holy habitation, from heaven, and bless your people Israel, and the land you have given us, as you swore to our fathers, a land flowing with milk and honey. 16. This day the Lord your God commands you to do these statutes and judgments, keep them therefore, and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. 17. This day you have declared to the Lord that he will be your God, and that you will walk in his ways, and keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his judgments, and you will obey his voice. 18. And the Lord hath declared unto thee this day that thou shalt be unto him for his own people, as he hath said unto thee, and that thou shalt keep all his commandments. 19. To exalt thee above all nations which he hath created, in praise, and in name, and in glory, and that thou mayest be an holy people unto the Lord thy God, as he hath spoken. Deuteronomy 27. 1. And they commanded Moses and the elders to the people of Israel, saying, Keep all these commandments which I command you today. 2. It shall come to pass, in the day that thou goest over Jordan into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, that thou shalt take up great stones, and whitewash them. 3. And when you are passed, you shall write on them all the words of this law, to enter the land which the Lord your God gives you, a land flowing with milk and honey, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has spoken to you. 4. So it shall come to pass, when you are over Jordan, that you shall set up these stones, which I command you today, on Mount Ebal, and whitewash them. 5. And there you shall build an altar to the Lord your God, an altar of stones. Thou shalt not lift an iron instrument upon them. 6. Of rough stones thou shalt build the altar of the Lord thy God, and you shall offer burnt offerings on it to the Lord your God. 7. And thou shalt sacrifice peace offerings, and there shalt thou eat before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice. 8. And on those stones you shall write all the words of this law, expressing them clearly. 9. Then Moses and the Levitical priests spoke to all Israel, saying, Be silent and listen, O Israel. Today you have become the people of the Lord your God. 10. Therefore thou shalt obey the voice of the Lord thy God, and do his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. 11. And Moses commanded the people that day, saying, 12. When you are over Jordan, these shall stand on Mount Gerizim to bless the people, Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Joseph, and Benjamin. 13. And these shall be upon Mount Ebal to curse, Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. 14. And the Levites shall testify with a loud voice to all the people of Israel, and shall say, 15. Cursed is the man who makes a carved or molten image, an abomination to the Lord, the work of a craftsman's hand, and puts it away in a secret place. And all the people, answering, will say, Amen. 16. Cursed is he who despises his father or mother. And all the people will say, Amen. 17. Cursed is he who removes his neighbor's boundaries. And all the people will say, Amen. 18. Cursed is he who causes the blind to go astray. And all the people will say, Amen. 19. Cursed is he who perverts the right of a foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. And all the people will say, Amen. 20. Cursed is he who lies with his father's wife, because he has uncovered his father's nakedness. And all the people will say, Amen. 21. Cursed is he who lies down with any animal. And all the people will say, Amen. 22. Cursed is he who lies with his sister, his father's daughter, or his mother's daughter. And all the people will say, Amen. 23. Cursed is he who lies with his mother-in-law. And all the people will say, Amen. 24. Cursed is he who hurts his neighbor in secret. And all the people will say, Amen. 25. Cursed is he who takes a bribe to hurt an innocent person. And all the people will say, Amen. 26. Cursed is he who does not confirm the words of this law by not fulfilling them. And all the people will say, Amen. Deuteronomy 28. 1. And it shall come to pass, if you will obey the voice of the Lord your God, and be careful to keep all his commandments which I command you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. 2. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, when you hearken to the voice of the Lord your God. 3. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. 4. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the young of your herds and sheep. 5. Blessed is your basket and your kneading trough. 6. Blessed shall you be when you enter, and blessed shall you be when you go out. 7. The Lord will deliver your enemies who rise up against you slain before you. They will go out against you one way, but 7 ways they will flee from your presence. 8. The Lord will command the blessing to be with you in your barns, and in all that you put your hand, and he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God gives you. 9. The Lord will establish you to himself as a holy people, as he swore to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. 10. And all the peoples of the earth will see that the name of the Lord is called upon you, and they will fear you. 11. and the Lord will give you abundance of good in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your animals, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land that the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. 12. The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give rain to your land in his time, and to bless all the work of your hands, and thou shalt lend to many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. 13. And the Lord will make you the head, and not the tail, and thou shalt only be above, and not below, if thou shalt heed the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, and be careful to do them. 14. And you shall not deviate from all the words that I command you today, to the right or to the left, walking after other gods to serve them. 15. But it shall come to pass, if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, by not taking care to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. 16. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. 17. Cursed be your basket and your kneading trough. 18. Cursed is the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, and the young of thy herds, and of thy flocks. 19. Cursed shall you be when you enter, and cursed shall you be when you go out. 20. The Lord will send a curse upon you, confusion and defeat in everything you set your hand to, until you are destroyed, and until you suddenly perish, because of the evil of your works, for which you forsook me. 21. The Lord will make the pestilence cling to you until he consumes you from the land where you go to possess it. 22. The Lord will smite you with consumption, and with fever, and with inflammation, and with burning heat, and with dryness, and with blight, and with mildew, and they will pursue you until you perish. 23. And your heavens, which are over your head, will be bronze, and the earth that is under you will be iron. 24. The Lord will make it rain upon your land, dust and dust, from heaven will come down on you until you perish. 25. The Lord will make you fall before your enemies, thou shalt go out against them one way, and flee before them 7 ways, and thou shalt be scattered throughout all the kingdoms of the earth. 26. Your carcass will be food for all the birds of the sky and the animals of the earth, and no one will scare them away. 27. The Lord will smite you with the boils of Egypt, with boils, and with the scab, and with the itch, from which you cannot be healed. 28. The Lord will smite thee with madness, and with blindness, and with amazement of heart. 29. And thou shalt grope at midday, as the blind grope in the dark, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, but you will only be oppressed and robbed every day, and there will be no one to save you. 30. You will marry a woman, but another man will sleep with her. Thou shalt build a house, but thou shalt not dwell in it. You will plant a vineyard, but you will not enjoy its fruit. 31. Your ox shall be slain in your sight, but you shall not eat of it. Your donkey will be stolen from before you, and it will not return to you. Your sheep will be given to your enemies, and there will be no one to save you. 32. Your sons and your daughters will be given to another people. Your eyes will see them, and they will fail for them all day long, but there will be no power in your hand. 33. The fruit of your land and all your labor will eat a people you never knew, and thou shalt be oppressed and broken all the days. 34. And you will go mad with what you see with your eyes. 35. The Lord will smite you with sore boils on your knees and legs, from which you cannot heal, from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head. 36. The Lord will bring you and your king whom you have set over you to a nation that you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone. 37. And thou shalt be astonishment, and by saying, and by fable, among all the peoples to which the Lord shall lead thee. 38. Thou shalt sow much seed in the field, but you will reap little, because the locust will consume it. 39. You will plant vineyards, and cultivate, but thou shalt not drink wine, nor gather grapes, because the animal will pick them up. 40. In all terms you will have olive trees, but you shall not anoint yourself with oil, because the olive will fall from your olive tree. 41. Sons and daughters you will beget, but they will not be for you, because they will go into captivity. 42. All your trees and the fruit of your land the caterpillar will consume. 43. The foreigner who is in your midst will rise above you, and you will come down low. 44. He will lend to you, but you will not lend to him, he shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. 45. And all these curses shall come upon you, and shall pursue you, and overtake you, until you are destroyed, because thou hast not obeyed the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments, and his statutes, which he commanded thee. 46. And they shall be to you for a sign and a wonder, and to your descendants forever. 47. Because you did not serve the Lord your God with gladness and gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. 48. Thus shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and on your neck he will put a yoke of iron, until he has destroyed you. 49. The Lord will raise up against you a nation from afar, from the end of the earth, that flies like an eagle, a nation whose language you will not understand. 50. Fierce-faced nation, which will not respect the face of the old, nor will it pity the young. 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy beasts, and the fruit of thy land, until thou art destroyed, and it will not leave you grain, new wine, or oil, nor the young of your herds or your flocks, until it has consumed you. 52. And he shall besiege you in all your gates, until your high and strong walls fall down, in which you trusted throughout all your land, and he will besiege you in all your gates throughout all your land which the Lord your God has given you. 53. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thy body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which the Lord thy God shall give thee, in the siege and in the distress wherewith thine enemies shall oppress thee. 54. As for the gentlest and most delicate man among you, his eye will be evil towards his brother, and towards the woman of his bosom, and towards the rest of his children who still remain to him. 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, which he eats, for there is nothing left for him in the siege and the strait with which your enemy will harass you in all your gates. 56. And as for the tenderest and most delicate woman among you, who for tenderness and delicacy never tried to set the sole of her foot on the earth, her eye shall be evil against the man at her bosom, and against her son, and against her daughter. 57. And this for the sake of her offspring that come out from between her feet, and for her offspring that she bears, because she will eat them in secret for lack of everything, in the siege and in the distress, wherewith your enemy will harass you in your gates. 58. If you are not careful to observe all the words of this law, which are written in this book, to fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God. 59. Then the Lord will make your plagues dreadful, and the plagues of your seed, great and everlasting plagues, and evil and lasting diseases. 60. And he will bring back upon you all the evils of Egypt, of which you were afraid, and they will cleave to you. 61. Also the Lord will bring upon you every disease and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, until you are destroyed. 62. And you will be left few in number, instead of having been like the stars of the heavens for multitude, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God. 63. And it shall come to pass, that, as the Lord delighted in you, to do you good and to multiply you, so shall the Lord delight to destroy you, and to consume you, and you shall be uprooted from the land which you go over to possess. 64. And the Lord will scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth even to the other, and there you will serve other gods which you have not known, neither you nor your fathers, to wood and stone. 65. And among these nations thou shalt not rest, neither shall the sole of thy foot find rest, for there the Lord will give you a troubled heart, failing eyes, and fainting soul. 66. And your life, as if in suspense, will be before you, and you will shudder night and day, and you will not believe your own life. 67. In the morning you will say, "Ah, who gave me to see the night?" And in the afternoon you will say, "Ah, I wish I could see the morning." By the astonishment of your heart, which you will feel, and by what you will see with your eyes. 68. And the Lord will bring you back to Egypt in ships, by the way that I told you. You will never ever see him, and there you will be sold as male and female slaves to your enemies, but there will be no one to buy you. Deuteronomy 29. 1. These are the words of the covenant that the Lord commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, in addition to the covenant he made with them in Horeb. 2. And Moses called all Israel, and said unto them, Ye have seen all that the Lord did before your eyes, in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. 3. The great trials that your eyes have seen, those signs and great wonders. 4. But the Lord has not given you a heart to understand, or eyes to see, or ears to hear, to this day. 5. In 40 years I made you walk in the desert, your garments have not worn out on you, nor has your shoe worn out on your foot. 6. Bread you did not eat, nor wine or strong drink you drank, that ye might know that I am the Lord your God. 7. When you came to this place, Sihon king of Heshbon and Og king of Bashan came out to meet us to battle, and we slew them. 8. And we took their land and gave it as an inheritance to the Reubenites, and to the Gadites, and to the half-tribe of the Manassites. 9. Keep therefore the words of this covenant, and do them, that ye may prosper in all that ye do. 10. You all stand before the Lord your God today, the captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, all the men of Israel. 11. Your little ones, your wives, and the foreigner who is in your camp, from the splitter of your wood to the drawer of your water. 12. To enter into the covenant of the Lord your God, and into his oath which the Lord your God swears with you this day. 13. That he may establish you today for his people, and that he may be your God, as he promised you and as he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. 14. And not only with you do I make this covenant and this oath. 15. But with him who is standing here with us today before the Lord our God, and with him who is not here with us today. 16. For you know how we dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we passed through the midst of the nations through which you passed. 17. And you have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold that were among them. 18. Lest there be among you man, or woman, or family, or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from the Lord our God, to go and serve the gods of these nations, that there be no root among you that bears poison and gall. 19. And it happens that someone hearing the words of this curse blesses himself in his heart, saying, I will have peace, even if I walk according to the opinion of my heart, to add drunkenness to thirst. 20. The Lord will not want to forgive you, but the anger of the Lord and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and every curse written in this book shall rest upon him, and the Lord will blot out his name from under heaven. 21. And the Lord will separate him for evil, out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant written in the book of this law. 22. Then he will say to the generation to come, your children, who will rise up after you, and the foreigner who will come from far country, seeing the plagues of the land, and its diseases, with which the Lord will have afflicted it. 23. And all his land burn with brimstone and salt, so that it will not be sown, and will not produce anything, nor will any grass grow in it, as was the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, of Admah and Zeboim, which the Lord destroyed in his anger and in his wrath. 24. And all nations will say, Why has the Lord done this to this land? What caused the fury of this great anger? 25. Then it will be said, Because they forsook the covenant of the Lord God of their fathers, which he had made with them when he brought them out of Egypt. 26. And they went and served other gods, and bowed down to them, gods they had not known, and none of which had been given to them. 27. Therefore the anger of the Lord was kindled against this land, to bring upon it every curse that is written in this book. 28. And the Lord plucked them up out of their land in anger, and in indignation, and in great fury, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. 29. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment. Deuteronomy 30. 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things come upon you, the blessing or the curse, which I have set before you, and you remember them among all the nations, whither the Lord your God has driven you. 2. And you turn to the Lord your God, and obey his voice, according to all that I command you today, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul. 3. Then the Lord your God will bring you back from your captivity, and will have mercy on you, and will gather you again from all the nations among which the Lord your God scattered you. 4. Though your outcasts are at the ends of the heavens, from there the Lord your God will gather you, and from there he will take you. 5. And the Lord your God will bring you into the land which your fathers possessed, and you shall possess it, and he will do you good, and multiply you more than your fathers. 6. And the Lord thy God will circumcise thine heart, and the heart of thy seed, to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. 7. And the Lord your God will put all these curses on your enemies, and on those who hate you, who persecute you. 8. Then you will convert and listen to the voice of the Lord, thou shalt do all his commandments which I command thee this day. 9. And the Lord thy God shall make thee prosper in all the work of thy hands, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for thy good, for the Lord will again rejoice over you to do you good, as he rejoiced over your fathers. 10. When you obey the voice of the Lord your God, keeping his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, when you turn to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. 11. For this commandment, which I command you today, is not hidden from you, nor is it far from you. 12. It is not in heaven, that you should say, who will go up to heaven for us, and get it for us, and make us hear it, that we may do it. 13. Nor is it beyond the sea, that you should say, who will pass for us across the sea, that he may bring it to us, and make us hear it, that we may do it. 14. For this word is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it. 15. See here, today I have proposed to you life and good, and death and evil. 16. Because I command you this day, that you love the Lord your God, that you walk in his ways, and that you keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his judgments, that you may live and multiply, and that the Lord your God may bless you in the land which you go in to possess. 17. But if your heart turns away, and you refuse to listen, and you are enticed to worship other gods and serve them. 18. So I declare to you today that you will surely perish, ye shall not prolong your days in the land whither thou goest over Jordan, to go in and possess it. 19. I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing, therefore choose life, that both you and your descendants may live. 20. Loving the Lord your God, listening to his voice, and drawing close to him, for he is your life, and the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which the Lord swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give them. Deuteronomy 31. 1. Then Moses went and spoke these words to all Israel. 2. And he said unto them, 120 years old am I this day. I will no longer be able to go out and come in. Moreover the Lord said unto me, Thou shalt not pass over Jordan. 3. The Lord your God will pass before you, he will destroy these nations from before you, that you may possess them. Joshua will pass over before you, as the Lord has spoken. 4. And the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, kings of the Amorites, and to their land, which he destroyed. 5. When therefore the Lord sets them before you, then you shall do with them according to all the commandment which I have commanded you. 6. Strive, and cheer up, do not be afraid or dismayed at them, for the Lord your God is he who goes with you, he will not leave you nor forsake you. 7. And Moses called Joshua, and said to him in the sight of all Israel, Be strong and of good courage, for with this people you will enter the land which the Lord swore to your fathers to give them, and thou shalt cause them to inherit it. 8. The Lord, then, is he who goes before you, he will be with you, he will not leave you nor forsake you, fear not, nor be dismayed. 9. And Moses wrote this law, and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. 10. And Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, at the set time of the year of release, at the Feast of Tabernacles. 11. When all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God in the place which he shall choose, you shall read this law in the presence of all Israel in their hearing. 12. Gather the people together, men and women, children and strangers who are within your gates, that they may hear and learn and fear the Lord your God, and be careful to do all the words of this law. 13. And let your children, who do not know it, hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, all the days that you live in the land which you are going over the Jordan to possess it. 14. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thy days are come, that thou must die. Call Joshua, and present yourselves at the tent of meeting, that I may give him orders. So Moses and Joshua went, and they presented themselves in the tent of meeting. 15. Then the Lord appeared in the tent, in the pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud was over the tent door. 16. And the Lord said unto Moses, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will rise up and play the harlot after the strange gods of the land, whither they go among them, and will forsake me, and break my covenant which I have made with them. 17. So shall my anger burn against him in that day, and I will forsake him, and hide my face from him, that he may be devoured, and so many evils and anguish will overtake him, that he will say in that day, Did not these evils overtake me, because my God is not among me? 18. I will therefore completely hide my face on that day, for all the evil that I have done, because they have turned to other gods. 19. Now therefore write this song for yourselves, and teach it to the children of Israel, put it in your mouth, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. 20. For I will bring my people into the land which I swore to their fathers, which flows with milk and honey, and shall eat, and be satisfied, and be fat. Then he will turn to other gods and serve them, and they will anger me and break my covenant. 21. And it shall come to pass, when many evils and troubles overtake him, then this song shall answer against him for a witness, for it shall not be forgotten from the mouth of his seed, for I know his imagination, what he does today, before I bring him into the land I have sworn to. 22. So Moses wrote this song that day, and taught it to the children of Israel. 23. And he commanded Joshua the son of Nun, and said, Be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel into the land which I have sworn to them, and I will be with you. 24. And it came to pass, when Moses had finished writing in a book all the words of this law. 25. He commanded the Levites, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, 26. Take this book of the law, and put it beside the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there for a witness against you. 27. For I know your rebellion and your stiff neck. Behold, while I am still living with you today, you have rebelled against the Lord, and how much more after my death? 28. Assemble before me all the elders of your tribes, and your officers, and I will speak these words in their ears, and against them I will call heaven and earth to witness. 29. For I know that after my death you will surely corrupt, and you will deviate from the way that I commanded you. Then this evil shall overtake you in the last days, when you shall do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger with the work of your hands. 30. Then Moses spoke the words of this song in the ears of all the congregation of Israel, until they ended. Deuteronomy 32. 1. Incline your ear, O heavens, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words of my mouth. 2. Let my teaching drop like rain, my word drop like dew, like showers on the grass and like drops of water on the grass. 3. For I will proclaim the name of the Lord, magnify our God. 4. He is the rock, whose work is perfect, for all his righteous ways are his. God is truth, and there is no injustice in him, just and upright is he. 5. They corrupted themselves against him, they are not his children, but his stain, perverse and distorted generation is. 6. Do you thus reward the Lord, foolish and ignorant people? Is he not your father who acquired you, made you and established you? 7. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, ask your father, and he will tell you, to your elders, and they will tell you. 8. When the Most High distributed inheritances to the nations, when he divided the children of Adam from one another, he established the borders of the peoples, according to the number of the children of Israel. 9. For the portion of the Lord is his people, Jacob is his share of the inheritance. 10. He found him in a desert land, and in a lonely howling wilderness, he surrounded him, instructed him, and kept him as the apple of his eye. 11. As an eagle stirs up its nest, hovers over its young, spreads out its wings, takes them up, carries them on its wings. 12. So the Lord alone guided him, and there was no strange God with him. 13. He made him ride on the heights of the earth, and eat the fruits of the field, and made him suck honey from the rock and oil from the hard flint. 14. Butter of cows, and milk of sheep, with the fat of the lambs and of the rams that feed in Bashan, and of the goats, with the choicest wheat, and you drank the blood of the grapes, the pure wine. 15. And when Jeshurun grew fat, he kicked, you grew fat, you grew thick, and you covered yourself with fat, and he forsook God who made him, and he despised the rock of his salvation. 16. With strange gods they provoked him to zeal, with abominations they angered him. 17. Sacrifices offered to demons, not to God, to the gods they did not know, new gods that came recently, which your fathers did not fear. 18. You forgot the rock that begot you, and in oblivion you put the God who formed you. 19. What the Lord saw and despised them, because he was provoked to anger against their sons and their daughters. 20. And he said, I will hide my face from them, I will see what their end will be, because they are a perverse generation, children in whom there is no loyalty. 21. They provoked me to jealousy with that which is not God, with their vanities they provoked me to anger, therefore I will provoke them to jealousy with that which is not a people, with a mad nation I will rouse them to anger. 22. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and it will burn to the lowest depths of hell, and will consume the earth with its harvest, and will set the foundations of the mountains on fire. 23. Evils will heap upon them, my arrows will exhaust against them. 24. They will be consumed by hunger, eaten by burning fever and bitter plague, and against them I will send the teeth of wild beasts, with the fiery venom of serpents of the dust. 25. The sword without will devastate, and the terror within, to the young man with the virgin, to the sucking child as well as to the man of gray hairs. 26. I said, I will scatter them everywhere, I will cause his memory to cease from among men. 27. If I were not afraid of the wrath of the enemy, lest his adversaries be deceived, and lest they say, our hand is lifted up, the Lord did not do all this. 28. Because they are people lacking advice, and in them there is no understanding. 29. If only they were wise. Let them understand this, and attend to their end. 30. How could one chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, if their rock had not sold them, and the Lord had not given them up? 31. Because their rock is not like our rock, even our enemies being judges of this. 32. For his vineyard is the vineyard of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah, their grapes are poisonous grapes, they have bitter clusters. 33. Their wine is the fiery poison of serpents, and the cruel venom of vipers. 34. Is this not kept with me? Sealed in my treasures? 35. Mine is vengeance and recompense, as your foot slips, for the day of their ruin is at hand, and the things that shall happen to them hasten to come. 36. For the Lord will execute justice for his people, and will have mercy on his servants, when he sees that their power is gone, and there is none bound nor helpless. 37. Then he will say, where are your gods? The rock they trusted. 38. Whose sacrifices did they eat the fat, and whose drink offerings did they drink the wine? Arise, and help you, that there may be a hiding place for you. 39. See now that I am, and there is no other God besides me. I kill, and I make alive, I wound, and I heal, and no one escapes my hand. 40. For I will lift my hand to heaven and say, I live forever. 41. If I sharpen my glittering sword, and if my hand hinders judgment, I will repay vengeance on my adversaries, and I will reward those who hate me. 42. I will make my arrows drunk with blood, and my sword will eat flesh, from the blood of the slain and the prisoners, from the head, there will be vengeance of the enemy. 43. Rejoice, O nations, his people, for he will avenge the blood of his servants, and will repay vengeance on his adversaries, and will have mercy on his land and on his people. 44. And Moses came, and spoke all the words of this song in the hearing of the people, he and Joshua the son of Nun. 45. And when Moses had finished speaking all these words to all Israel. 46. He said to them, set your heart on all the words that I testify among you today, that you may recommend them to your children, that they may be careful to do all the words of this law. 47. For this word is not in vain for you, rather it is your life, and by this same word you will prolong your days in the land which, crossing Jordan, you go to possess. 48. Then the Lord spoke to Moses that same day, saying, 49. Go up to Mount Abarim, to Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, opposite Jericho, and view the land of Canaan, which I will give to the children of Israel for a possession. 50. And die on the mountain to which you will go up, and gather yourself to your people, as Aaron your brother died on Mount Hor, and gathered himself to his people. 51. Because ye trespassed against me among the children of Israel, at the waters of Meribah Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin, for ye did not sanctify me among the children of Israel. 52. Therefore thou shalt see the land before thee, but thou shalt not enter into it, into the land which I will give to the children of Israel. Deuteronomy 33. 1. But this is the blessing with which Moses the man of God blessed the children of Israel before his death. 2. Then he said, the Lord came from Sinai, and went up to them from Seir, he shone from Mount Paran, and came with 10,000 saints, at his right hand there was for them the fire of the law. 3. Indeed he loves people, all his saints are in his hand, they will be placed in the middle, between your feet, and each one will receive from your words. 4. Moses gave us the law, as an inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. 5. And he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people were gathered together with the tribes of Israel. 6. Long live Reuben, and he may not die, and may his men not be few. 7. And this is what he said of Judah, hear, O Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him in among his people, his hands are sufficient for him, and you be his help against his enemies. 8. And of Levi he said, your Thummim and your Urim are for your beloved, whom you proved at Massah, with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah. 9. He who said to his father and mother, I never saw them, and he did not know his brothers, and he did not love his children, for they kept your word and kept your covenant. 10. They taught Jacob your judgments, and Israel your law, they put incense in your nostrils, and the burnt offering on your altar. 11. Bless his power, O Lord, and accept the work of his hands, He wounds the loins of those who rise up against him and hate him, so that they rise up no more. 12. And of Benjamin he said, The beloved of the Lord shall dwell safely with him, all day long he will cover him, and he will dwell between his shoulders. 13. And of Joseph he said, Blessed be the land of the Lord, with the best of the heavens, with the dew, and with the deep that lies beneath. 14. And with the most excellent fruits of the sun, and with the most excellent productions of the moons. 15. And with the most excellent of ancient mountains, and with the most excellent of eternal hills. 16. And with the best of the earth, and of its fullness, and with the kindness of him who dwelt in the bush, come on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. 17. He has the glory of the firstborn of his bull, and his horns are the horns of a wild ox. With them he will drive back all peoples to the ends of the earth. These are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and these are the thousands of Manasseh. 18. And of Zebulun he said, Zebulun, rejoice in your goings out, and you, Issachar, in your tents. 19. They will call the peoples to the mountain, there they will present offerings of righteousness, for they will suck up the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. 20. And of Gad he said, Blessed is he that enlarges Gad, he dwells like a lioness, and tears apart the arm and the top of the head. 21. And he provided himself with the best part, because there was hidden the portion of the lawgiver, therefore he came with the leaders of the people, he executed the justice of the Lord and his judgments towards Israel. 22. And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp, that she leaps from Bashan. 23. And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, be filled with loving kindness, and be filled with the blessing of the Lord, owns the west and the south. 24. And of Asher he said, Blessed be Asher with his sons, please his brothers, and bathe his foot in oil. 25. Let your shoes be made of iron and metal, and may your strength be like your days. 26. There is no one like God, O Jeshurun, who rides through the heavens to your help, and with his majesty over the highest clouds. 27. The eternal God is your dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall cast out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, Destroy him. 28. Israel shall dwell alone, secure, in the land of the fountain of Jacob, in the land of grain and new wine, and their heavens will drop dew. 29. Blessed are you, O Israel. Who is like you? A people saved by the Lord, the shield of your help, and the sword of your majesty, therefore thine enemies shall be subject to thee, and thou shalt tread on their heights. Deuteronomy 34. 1. So Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land from Gilead to Dan. 2. And all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim, and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, as far as the western sea. 3. And the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, as far as Zor. 4. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, To thy seed will I give it. I make you see it with your eyes, but you will not pass there. 5. So Moses the servant of the Lord died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. 6. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor, and no one has known to this day the place of his burial. 7. Moses was 120 years old when he died, his eyes never grew dim, nor did they lose their vigor. 8. And the children of Israel mourned for Moses 30 days in the plains of Moab, and the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were accomplished. 9. And Joshua the son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom, because Moses had laid his hands on him, so the children of Israel listened to him, and did as the Lord had commanded Moses. 10. And there arose no more prophet in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face. 11. Nor like in all the signs and wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. 12. And in all the mighty hand, and in all the great terror, which Moses did in the sight of all Israel. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel, leave your like, and make a comment.